Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Howdy do. My name's Jay, and I'm here to talk about Guardians Crusade. Guardians Crusade is an original PlayStation 1 game that you absolutely need to play if you liked Persona 5, or JRPGs in general. Something it shares with Persona 5 is the JRPG format, the not only great music, but trend-bucking music. Guardians Crusade is a JRPG that has a funky jazz soundtrack. I can count on one hand the number of those I've ever played. Outside of modern comparisons, it's charming, the color palette is lovely, lots of the characters are memorable, and it has the most unique water travel system I have ever seen that I am not going to ruin for you. You need to see it for yourself. It's absolutely absurd and fantastic. I haven't played that since I was a little kid, and I still remember, line for line, dozens, if not 100 lines from the game. It was also the first game I ever played that made me consider the diegetic elements of a game. In one of the levels, you'll be running around this old abandoned castle, and the music of the game echoes with your footsteps. Consider what that means for a moment. It means that the music is in the room with you. After all, it doesn't echo when you're outside. That's really strange. That means there's a guy, running around with a boombox behind you. I've never quite decided whether or not I thought that made sense narratively, but it did send me on a path to consider and analyze how diegetic presentation of sound and other elements occur in stories, from TV shows to video games. Guardians Crusade had a profound effect on me, and I hope you'll get something out of it too. While not as unique as the water system, no JRPG would be complete without something amounting to a summon or backup system, and the one that Guardians Crusade uses is wind-up key toys. You know, old school toys with the brass keys in the back, with a surprisingly robust number of them and subsection for how they work. You can only have so many of each type out on the battlefield at a time. Some of them stay on the battlefield for multiple turns. Sometimes they vanish. It's a one and done thing. And they can break. It's nuanced and deep while still not being overwhelming. If Guardians Crusade is your first JRPG, firstly, welcome to the clan. And secondly, Guardians Crusade is an absolutely brilliant place for you to start. I think the odds are much higher, though, that if you're listening to this, you've already played a JRPG. Don't fret. I don't think Guardians Crusade is without merit for you. I think it'll be different instead. It'll be closer to a Dragon Quest. It'll be charming and light in a way that a lot of modern games aren't. That might be a personal preference of mine, because I don't put a lot of stock into the idea that moral gray is more complex or better. But even if you do, I think Guardians Crusade will be, at the very least, a change that might give you something to appreciate. It favors exploration because you're never going to find all the toys and the stuff without it. It has some of the most interesting monster design I've ever seen, and subverts a couple of tropes that were especially popular at the time. As I understand it, the game was very popular in Japan and not very popular here, but I would absolutely give it a go. The music is lovely, the characters are memorable, the story, the main story is a little rote in places, that's true, but a lot of the things that lead up to that, all the stuff around it, are very well written and subvert a lot of expectations. Still, it is a game from 1999, so there's going to be a smidge of sexism here and there, but it's much less cringy than that statement probably made it sound, and I don't think it brings down the whole experience. Back to the really entertaining music, which I think is one of Guardians Crusade's strongest elements. I have that entire soundtrack on my phone. It's fantastic. I liked that music so much it got me into learning about compression and different file formats so that I could hear it in its full glory without any of that CD compression PlayStation 1 stuff. At one point, fairly early on in the game, you'll have to go to a place called the Cave of Fear, which is called that because it's supposed to be a terrifying cave, complete with a little wooden sign that says, "Abandon all hope, ye who wander beyond," blah, blah, blah. It doesn't actually say that, but that's the idea. Here's the problem. While the Cave of Fear does contain the rib cage and skull of giant creatures, dragon adjacent from the horns and the jaw size, you're a teenager, if not a grown man. It's actually kind of hard to tell. And you can walk through this giant jaw. This thing could have absolutely swallowed you whole while you were alive. The ground is bleak. The walls are dark. The monsters are terrifying. The cave has all kinds of energy and vibe dripping off the ceiling. It's intense. Or it would be if it weren't for the Barry White Light Some Candles music that's playing in the background that, while fantastic, absolutely does not belong in this cave. And Guardians Crusade does that constantly. It has incredible, just snappy, kick-ass music that's in the wrong spot. It happens a lot. Anyway, if Guardians Crusade has a negative for me, it's that it's a little too predictable in the main story, even if all the stuff around the main story is really fantastic. And that the music, while brilliant, almost none of it's in the right spot. Oh, something worth mentioning. If you've never played a JRPG that doesn't have any side quests at all beyond a couple of minigames, you ought to give this one a shot. I don't know about you, but I've played enough JRPGs where I had to go collect 50 sheep. The game is not worse off for their absence. If you've played something like Miles Morales, did you do all the side stuff? Was it way less side stuff than the other Marvel games? Did you feel like you'd lost something for it? Perhaps the most recent Dying Light. It's leaner, not less. Guardians Crusade is much like that. It's a leaner experience, but not a lesser one. And I think you owe it to yourself to play it, especially if your majority playtime with JRPGs is in the modern day. Play something from a previous age and get a vibe check for how creators used to look at it. It's a weird, wonderful one-off game with no prequels, no sequels, no follow-ups, and a brilliant identity all of its own. Anyway, I'm Jay, and that was me talking about Guardians Crusade. Happy gaming.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jim.
You're a fan of the Legion of Superheroes, right?
Yeah, I've been reading their adventures for decades.
Me too. It was tough at first with all the characters, but now I think I'm an expert.
It's not too hard to get into the Legion. And to make it even easier, we have a podcast called Long Live the Legion. We talk about different aspects of all its history to help you out.
So whether you're a new reader in the Legion Academy, or have your own flight ring, or anywhere in between, a Long Live the Legion podcast should be on your playlist.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.